When you woke up this morning and opened your eyes, how do you know you're not still asleep?
In 2008, I was sitting on a packed London tube during rush hour, reading a book, when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a feeling of complete and utter stillness, peace and quiet came over me. I remember looking up and around at all the people on the tube, and I felt this amazing, heartfelt, loving connection with them all. This incredible feeling of stillness and connection stayed with me for the whole day, but when I woke up in the morning, it was gone.
Just because your eyes are open, this doesn't mean you're wide awake.
This experience made me start to question the nature of reality. Is there another way to be in the world? And are we just spending most of our life sleepwalking through it?
In this film, you will discover what it's like to fully wake up and stay awake.
Most people live most of their lives in a hypnotic trance. And they're hypnotized by their education, by the media, by advertising. That state of sleeping, if you like, but it's basically a hypnotic trance. So people go through their lives believing certain things because they're in this hypnotic trance.
But somehow this knowledge got eclipsed by another kind of what I would call conditioned reality, and that became our focus, and we fell asleep. We're all sleepwalking in this mental hypnosis, you know. Spirituality is the awakening to what was timeless and unbound in ourselves.
Another way of looking at it is that people live their lives as if they're inside a letterbox, and that this is what they see of the world. There's all this and all this and all this, but actually all they see is this letterbox view of the world. And that's just because of the level of consciousness at which they're operating excludes so much else.
The mind is predominantly silent, yes? And we focus, for some reason, we're hypnotized by the little bit of noise that we do have going on. So if you picture Wembley Stadium or something like that, completely empty, nobody in it, pitch, nobody there, complete silence. That's really who you are. And then there's a little ghetto blaster in the corner somewhere with a song playing or something, and you're distracted by what's going on in the corner. So you're giving all your attention and focus to the little bit of noise on some ghetto blaster in the corner that you're hypnotized by. And what you're missing is the whole stadium of what you truly are, and this still peaceness that's going on. And for some crazy reason, we're hypnotized by what's going on in the corner.
When we talk about awakening or enlightenment, what we talk about is a shift from this narrow, hypnotized state to a more open, broader state of awareness and consciousness. And it's not, again, it's not some great sort of mystical thing. It's fairly logical and practical.
After this experience, I started to reflect on what had happened. Was this, just a weird release of chemicals in my brain? Or was it something that I could create again and again? That would be an incredible way to be and to live in the world. So I started to investigate, to speak to different teachers and people that had had similar experiences, and found that there was lots of people that wanted to talk about this. And I thought it would be really a great thing to share with everyone. So I started to make a film about it.
Waking up can happen to absolutely anybody.
Life's magic. in my experience. And the more you wake up, the more magical it becomes, the more dreamlike it becomes. And on many, many occasions, in the most outrageous of ways, so that you start seeing that this is not as fixed as it appears. It's really not. And you can see that your inner life and your outer life are linked in some way.
Our true nature is spirit, and if spirit is continuous energy, if you think of energy, energy is neither created or destroyed. So to me, the way I look at things, energy is spirit, spirit is energy. And that's what we are. We're pure energy, manifesting a physical body here on this earth in order to advance our own consciousness, our own standing.
What we're seeing is what you might call an evolution in consciousness. It's been going on kind of from the beginning, and we're reaching a point now, a kind of transition point to a much higher level.
And by waking up, what I mean, and I think what most people mean, is that there comes a moment in your life where, for various reasons, and there are different constellations of factors that create this for people, there's a moment and people just go, there's something else to life that's more than just family, status, society. And it's something that relates to the hugeness and the wonder of nature and the universe.
The precision with which nature is arranged is breathtaking when you pay attention to it. If gravity was any weaker, there'd be no matter. If it was any stronger, nothing would be expanding. It has to be within a very, very tiny range. And there's a whole lot of stuff like that. And if we were to be more anthropomorphic in terms of our experience here on Earth, the Earth is at exactly the right distance from the sun. If it was too close, it'd be too hot. If it was too far away, it'd be too cold. The moon has to be exactly the size it is in the orbit that it is to balance our rotation and so on and so forth. These things are incredibly finely tuned. And as Plato said, everything is much better taken care of than you can possibly imagine. And I'm with him on that. Yeah.
For a long time, you look at the world, it's in such a state. There's so many problems, it's overwhelming. You say, how can we, AIDS, war, poverty, the environment, just endless, isn't it? And it's overwhelming. Is there one thing, like Archimedes said, you give me a pivot and I can move the world. He thought, what is the pivot? And I'm convinced now there is a pivot, and that pivot is oneness. If we can wake up from the illusion of separateness, stop getting caught up in the fact that we appear to be separate, and understand that on a deeper level, there's really one of us. There really is. That's not a fancy idea. That's the reality. There is really one of us, appearing to itself in many, many forms in the universe. And if we can meet then as one and separate, then we will solve all those problems. Because the love and the creativity that comes with that recognition, we can easily do that. I have no doubt about that at all. It's only because we're still so embroiled in the idea that we're all separate from each other, and therefore we're competing individuals, competing countries, competing cultures, that we don't do those things. So oneness, that's the key, is to wake up to oneness, and then to live it, and the living of it is the love.
So I think when we look at suffering in the world and think, why does there have to be suffering, and where does suffering come from? I mean, I wish I knew the answer, right? But I also think the world could do with more love. I think there are not enough of us really taking a stand for love, really showing up for love in all situations. Too many of us are a little bit hooked on conflict, or a little bit hooked on drama, or we're hooked on a kind of self-protection. So I don't really love myself, but the way I'm going to take care of myself is by making it hard for other people to get near me. So we're creating separation all the time. We're not open all the time.
There was a great scene in Blackadder once where Blackadder was going off exploring, and he was handed a sheet of paper which he opened up and found, and he was told, the foremost cartographers of our time have prepared this map for your journey. And he opened it up and it was a blank sheet of paper. And it's kind of like that, you get to the edge of the map, it's like there's nothing left. But actually there is a new map, And we need to evolve the level of consciousness in order to be able to read that map. And that new map is one of total personal responsibility. Not in an onerous way, but in a way that we actually have to take complete responsibility for ourselves, and we have to take complete responsibility for all of life. Not all on ourselves, but in a team. We have to have this collective sense of responsibility for life, for all of life.
We've replaced an inner journey with an outer journey. Commercialism, consumerism, looking for the outside objects, things, whatever it is, to fill the hole that's inside. And you can't fill an inside hole, something that you're missing spiritually, with a car, a boat, a house, whatever it is. That journey you have to make yourself and look inside.
If our minds and our brains are very full and very busy, we have to clear some of that out first before we can get into a space of stillness and silence. And if we're in a place of stillness and silence inside of us, we have room to accommodate others. Whereas if we're not, we don't.
This whole awakening is really in the physiology of our body, in our cells, and our cells just know when it's time for spring to happen. Just like a seed, you put it in the ground and it knows when spring happens, it just bursts forward. And I think what's happening on the planet now is that we've gone through dark winter and people are just getting this inkling inside. They don't know why. Spring is coming. It's like, it's happening. After the darkest night is the brightest dawn.
People have those waking up moments in different situations. It could be in an ecstasy rave where the sun just lifts on the horizon, or suddenly there's a groove in the dancing and the rhythm, and people just know that something's happening that's just more than who they are. Or it can happen with a grandparent changing the nappy on their grandchild. Living in landscape, working with a team of people that works for you, or just getting older sometimes. Something happens to you, or being ill, or nursing people, just something happens to you, and bit by bit by bit, you're waking up.
It can happen through illness, when we are forced into silence and we have to look at what's happening inside us. Most of us look for points of reference outside of us. So it'll be things happening in our environment, or people we talk to, or whatever it is. At certain points in our life, we're forced to look at what's happening inside us.
The thing that then happens, which is what I'm interested in, is do you choose to notice that you've woken up and stay with it and work with it, or is it just one of those moments that passes by? Oh, that was nice. Like, that was a nice movie. That was a nice concert. Enjoyed that view, enjoyed that holiday. Or do you go, wait a minute, I woke up to the fact that nature and the cosmos have some wonder in it. I don't know what it is. And if you wake up in that way gradually, then you know that you're both an ordinary person dealing with life, and at the same time your context is this fantastic cosmos.
In a hierarchical sense, we move from this sense that someone else will tell us how to do things to this sense that we have to collectively uncover how to do things. We have to communicate with everybody, and we have to shift. The biggest shift is the shift from fear to love. We have to learn how to be with and live with love in all situations. So instead of responding fearfully to strangers, to difference, to the unknown, we have to learn to respond with love. And that's the fundamentals of the new map that we need to create. We need to co-create. And I guess the co-creation is part of the map, the fact that it has to be co-created. that the answers aren't already there.
Can anybody wake up then, or do you have to have special powers or qualifications? Do you have to be some kind of wise teacher, or can this just happen to normal, everyday people like me and you?
I believe that the seat of all spiritual experience and the seat of the soul is actually the right side of our brain. When people talk about spiritual experiences, what they're connecting to is the right side of their brain.
Most of my life was spent trying to make something spiritually happen to myself, because I've been kind of obsessed with my own spiritual development and human development for my whole life. So having spent a lifetime of chasing every spiritual discipline I could get my hands on, and running after the spiritual circus all over the world looking for some form of enlightenment, the moment that this transformation did take place, it was revealed to me that actually nothing caused it to happen, and in fact nothing was happening. And if I look at, in retrospect, it's taken 3 years since that took place to really integrate myself back into society, because after that experience I couldn't function, I couldn't eat, I couldn't, it was difficult to dress myself. I was just in this state of bliss and really didn't see the point of doing anything, including trying to pay my mortgage or taking care of my children or anything else. So my business disappeared, my home disappeared, everything just kind of went out the window, because in a linear world you have to pay your phone bill.
The left side of our brain works as a linear processor. Everything is logical. So words and time are very much left brain concepts. The right side of our brain works in a total connection with everything that's going on in the moment. And that's where our spiritual existence lies. A lot of what's happening in the evolution that we're going through at the moment is a balancing of the two hemispheres of the brain. So we're starting to see life in a more balanced way, more holistic way.
I feel all of us, to some degree, have a little taste of this sometime. I sense that all of this is a bit unreal, like a dream, and that our perception of life is very unique through each instrument. Just like no one else can taste your dream, nobody else can taste your waking state. It's a very unique experience. We feel that we can share our experiences. You cannot share your experience. You can share from your experience. You can share by just being yourself. Be true for yourself. Then somehow there's a sharing that occurs without you even thinking you're sharing, just by being true. But the perception of life is a very, very unique filming. It's not as common as we think. I mean, there is one Earth, but there are millions of worlds. Each one is dreaming their own world. When you, at a certain point, you come actually to see this, that it's just the way the world as you see it, the raw material is okay, but it's not the raw material that makes the life. The raw material is just that which your mind can act upon. And we are constantly adding the herbs and spices of our own preferences and conditions and projections in order to get the taste that we want from it. But there are some who have gone beyond this need to spice life up. They just take it as it is, and then somehow the noise leaves you. You are in this. It doesn't matter. You could be in the middle of New York City or in London. Inwardly, you are in total solitude. And this I am very happy to share through the guidance, so that you can taste it for yourself in your own life.
The analogy that I would draw is that just as our body is made up of cells, and all of those cells have a responsibility for the well-being and development of the whole. So you have bone cells that have a particular kind of responsibility for holding the bone structure together. You have brain cells that have a particular kind of responsibility for cognitive transmission. You have heart cells that have a responsibility for keeping the heart going and keeping the whole thing alive. and so on. And in exactly the same way, we, humans, and trees and birds and fish and all the rest of it, are cells in the greater body of life. So we're all part of this greater entity. We're all components. We're all cells in this greater body of life.
Can we all create this awake experience together consciously? And then can we all consciously start to heal our planet?
We're brought up, on the whole, most people are brought up to believe in a very limited set of possibilities. We're brought up with our parents' sense of possibility, and we're brought up within a framework of possibility, and that possibility, of course, is limited by the framework that those people were brought up with. So we have this, and it's probably bigger than the people that brought them up. And each generation, that frame of possibility gets bigger. And along the way, there are a few enlightened souls who tell a different story, who see possibilities way beyond their peers, Einstein or Buddha, or people who were operating beyond their time. And in some cases, those people have the skill and the ability to articulate that possibility in a language and a way which a lot of their peers can understand. A lot of the people who are around them can understand. And they help society to move on. And at an individual level, what we're talking about is people shifting from a sense of being a small cog in the machine to understanding their true potential.
In many ways, our life's not as long as we think it is. And I think we're really not doing the world a favour. We're not really in service to anything when we spend our time flailing away doing things that aren't right for us. I think those 10 years I spent doing a job that wasn't really right for me, I think that in a way that was kind of obstructing the grand design of the world, really. Because I think I was taking someone else's job, doing something that really didn't suit me, trying to meet a set of imaginary expectations I had for what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And the release of energy that has come from taking myself out of that environment and allowing myself to pursue what I love has been extraordinary. And I have been tireless, really, the last few years. And my wish would be that everyone has a chance to know what that's like, to be fully in alignment with what they want to do. I mean, I had a coaching client very early on who asked me probably the best question I've ever been asked as a coach. He sat down to interview, big kind of senior exec, very, very powerful, and he was a real kind of like, who are you? Kind of, he sort of sat down like in a kind of, you've got 15 minutes, don't waste my time. And he asked me some questions, and he said, I want to ask you a question. What's the real secret? What's this secretly all about for you? What's it really, what's the secret about it all for you? Really smart question. And I said, the secret is I would do it for nothing because I like it so much. And again, this is maybe a response for those people out thinking, but if I really did what I love to do, I wouldn't be able to eat, I think you might be surprised because the world might reward you handsomely for placing your gifts into the world more appropriately.
The expression I use is coming out. The process that I take people through is articulating their own life's purpose, creating a vision for what that would look like if they were to live it and be it, understanding what holds them back from doing that, letting go of those things, and then coming out, going public with their truth. I really am a musician. I really am a filmmaker. I really am whatever it is. That's my truth. That's what I truly am. And then once you do that, once you go through that coming out process, you open up to this extraordinary level of possibility and learning, you know, beyond anything that you could conceive of in this closed down, narrow, cog in the machine state. And life becomes, instead of being circular loops, becomes this expansive journey, and amazing. And you know, many people achieve this. Some people late in life, some people early in life, some people not at all. Some people put language to it, and many people just do it without putting language to it.
We are, in a sense, learning machines, but what happens is between the age of 0 and 7, roughly, we're like sponges. We don't really have a conscious mind. We just absorb everything that's going on around us, good and bad. And that includes negative emotions, you know, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, all that kind of stuff. And as happens typically in our culture, because we don't really have time and we have a certain sort of stiff upper lip attitude, or put it at the back of your mind thing, we carry a lot of baggage. We carry a lot of unresolved negative emotion, which sort of pulls us off course. It means that we're not able to respond cleanly to what's actually happening. We're responding to unresolved pain from the past or fear about what might happen in the future. So we're not actually, as Eckhart Tolle would say, we're not present now.
Some people need to go through a terrible experience, the wake-up call, the huge depression, losing a loved one, to get that wake-up call to start to look inside. We could do that without having to have the wake-up call. It'd be a lot nicer not to have to go through the depression, not to go through the death, to get to that space within us where we're all one, where we're all connected.
That's the big shift. For all the rubbish that's going down, for all the crap that's hitting the fan, for all the suffering and the pain, deep in the cells of my body, I feel hopeful. And I notice, and this may be naive and it may be a projection, I notice lots of individuals waking up without being dependent on a religion or a teacher or a particular form. They're just simply waking up and beginning to take self-responsibility for their development. I like that, and I think that's hopeful.
For the spiritual seeker embarking on such a journey, my encouragement would say to them, trust is very important. Not trusting outwardly, but also trust in the calling. Now, some people might say, but I have very little trust actually. And to them I say, okay, fine, trust what you can. But to be reminded that this is something very natural, it's a natural move within you to come to deeper levels within your own being, you see. And what you are about to discover, it is nothing to be afraid of, because you're not creating something, you're merely discovering what is already here. This is important.
So we're going to have to recognize that we may be very fearful and deal with it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. But to have courage means that we need to break our life journey down into bite-sized bits to make it possible for us to have the courage to take the next step. So we don't want too big a step, because otherwise we just won't do it.
Joseph Campbell in The Hero of the Thousand Faces talks about the hero's journey, that, you know, we kind of hear a call, which is that internal stirring, and we maybe ignore that for a while. In my case, ignore it for 5-6 years, and then we allow ourselves to answer that call and think, okay, I am going to move forward. And the minute we do that, we begin to be tested. Now, somebody told me years ago, be grateful when there's challenges in your life, because they're a sign that you're growing.
One of my favourite books is Lord of the Rings, you know, and Frodo's this hobbit, I don't know if you've heard of it, you've read the story, he gets this magical ring and then he has to go on a journey. doesn't want to. I don't want to go on a journey, you know. But he's forced on this journey, and as the more he gets into it, the more he awakens these qualities inside him of courage and of just resourcefulness. And that's what happens with people. Initially, they go, oh, they get the magic ring of, oh, I could do this. Oh, maybe they get a kick up the arse to do it, and all right, I'll do it. And on the journey, they get met with challenges. In the book, it was these sort of the 9 dark riders, you know, come chasing him, and he has to find this resourcefulness. And in life, when you start the journey, you know, there's demands from the world, and you have to find the resources inside you.
But also, how can I fall so in love with that end dream, be so excited about wanting to achieve that in the world, that I would stop noticing what I was having to do to get there? How great would that be? Because how quickly and gracefully might we move towards it once we don't mind what we're going to have to do?
It's my personal belief that we're all here with a particular mission that we've chosen, a particular path that we've chosen to take and follow. When things come up in our life that are difficult, it's either for one of two reasons. Either we've chosen that path, or because we're coming off of the path. And those things are trying to get us back onto the path. As beings, I think we're here to evolve. This is our mission is here to evolve and assist those around us in their own evolution.
It's not like some classic books would say, do what you love and the money will follow and all this kind of thing. Do what you love, you're going to be challenged to the utmost, you're going to be awakened and you'll be totally feeling alive. You'll start to feel really more alive. You'll wake up in the morning going, wow, this is a different day. You're breaking all the routines, you're doing something very different. I'll give you an example. I was coaching a guy who was earning £400,000 a year as a banker. And he says, basically, I'm bored and my life's not really good. And I have all these demands about money. His solution was, I need more money to sort out my life. And I was saying, are you sure? Is that really what you want? And he was certain this is what he wanted. Now, he would not move at the moment, yeah, because if you imagine, he's getting paid £400,000 to be bored out of his life. What's it going to take to move it? You know, he's got £400,000 and he's bored. He's going, well, you know, maybe I could put up with a lot more boredom. If we amped up the pain of that boredom to such a point, he would move.
Using an example, just say as a child you had special abilities and you said, I can see colors around people, and someone says, no, you can't. Well, you say, okay, I guess I can, and you've taken away that permission. You've stopped giving yourself permission to do things that other people you thought couldn't do. And we go through our lives removing permission in order to stay with society. Society's job really is to keep everyone more or less on an equal footing. Anybody starts to stick up and there's somebody there to squash them back down. So my number one recommendation to people who are coming to see me is if they suddenly find themselves starting to stick up, change your peer group, right? Because they don't want you to stick up. They don't want you to be different. You need to find a peer group that's going to be allowing you, giving you permission to give yourself permission to change and grow and start to use your abilities that you haven't been using up until now.
You know, there's two classes of people when I coach people. They will move because of the carrot. Would you like this dream? You know, tell me your dream. Would you like it? Yes, I'd love it. Okay, would you like to move towards it? Yes. Would you like the next step? Yes. They're the carrot kind of, you know, the carrot kind of people. And if you get another kind of person, the pain stick kind of person, you go, would you like this carrot? You go, oh no mate, I haven't got any energy for that. I've got all these demands. Right, the only way to move them is more pain. Okay. Think about being in your job for the next 20 years. Oh God, I can't, oh, it's so painful. And I amp it up to such a point that they go, I'm out of here. Do you see the point?
When we come out to follow our true purpose, we identify our true contribution, our true responsibility to the whole. And if we turn out to be a musician, then part of what we're doing is connecting into that whole. That's part of our role as a musician. We're helping other people to connect at a spiritual level. Any artistic endeavor is about the communication of spirit. So a dancer or a musician or an artist or a filmmaker is connecting into spirit or distracting. That's the choice that any artistic endeavor has, is to make that connection to spirit. And you know, I mean, great art always connects to spirit. If it's not great art, it's distraction. It's, you know, it's wallpaper. It's the stuff that distracts us from spiritual endeavour. Soap operas or, you know, pulp fiction or whatever it is. So, our purpose as individuals is to contribute to the evolution of consciousness of the whole. It's to contribute to the development of the whole. And whatever our individual purpose is it will be contributing to that. So whether, you know, whether your purpose turns out to be, you know, some kind of teacher of consciousness, or whether it turns out to be a musician, or whether it turns out to be someone who cares for children, or whether it turns out to be someone who builds homes for people, or whether it turns out to be someone who makes roads, you know, it's all contributing to that growth of consciousness. If it's your true purpose, it's contributing to that growth of consciousness. In whatever way, at whatever level.
I think what I learned from doing these interviews and making this film is that it is possible to reduce the noise in our head, to be more connected, to have more stillness and peace. And it's, you know, it's not just the experience for the wise guru or the person meditating in the cave, but we have to really want that. We have to put in the practice and the daily, you know, discipline. So whatever it is that works for us, whether it is breathing or ice baths or meditating or dancing, we need to do that day by day by day and notice when we're connected, notice when we're awake, notice when we're alive. And then, you know, bit by bit by bit and day by day, change starts to happen to us.
M.C. Escher, his main study was about contrast, about black and white. The guy who did those impossible drawings of the monks walking up the endless staircase or the waterfall constant. His real study was about contrast, about, you know, the fact that black cannot exist without white. And we can't become aware of our tension until we feel relaxed, until we know what being relaxed is. We can't become aware of love until we have an experience of not having fear. In order to notice our intuition, we need to give it a bit of space to exist and allow that right side of the brain to have its voice and to build up our confidence through practice. So we need to practice creating the space.
You can't do anything without practice. You couldn't, you know, we didn't learn to drive cars without practice and without sort of stumbling along the road like we were running on kangaroo petrol. Eventually, we get into a car and we drive it without even thinking about it because it's so easy for us. But while we're learning, we are going to stumble and we are going to stall and we are going to be a danger to other road users. So yes, we have to practice it. But what better thing to practice than being the best of who you can be?
But the traditional teachings have always said it's practice. You know, practice the spiritual practices and you will see the benefits. And you need to be consistent. It's like going to the gym. If you go once, nothing will happen. So do your meditation, do your breathing, do whatever it is that you do, and do it every day, and bit by bit, you'll notice the difference.
Somebody told me years ago, it goes like this, order priority: dreams, goals, plans, effort. So there's the thing you want, the dream, there's the goals for how you're going to get to achieving it, the plans for how you're going to reach those goals, and then there's the kind of legwork to get there. And most of us are spending all of our time dwelling on the effort as a way of talking ourselves out of the dream, like, oh yeah, well, I'd love to run a marathon, but I wouldn't want to do all the training. Why don't you focus on the marathon and then you won't mind training so much? So I remember hearing somebody say about 15 years ago, I suppose when I first started to learn all this, saying, dwell in the dream and you won't notice the effort.
Really, really, this is my shtick, that if you're going to wake up, don't just hang around serendipitously waiting for the next awakening. That's not good. That's, yeah, all right, you can do that if you want, but it's too interesting. It's too engaging, it's too beautiful, it's too wonderful to just hang around waiting. Because what you can do is you can have a spiritual practice and day by day by day soak in the hot tub of the goddess.
When you say I, take I to be impersonal, to be consciousness. In fact, I can give any exercise. I can say, go to anything that is really troubling you and perceive it totally personally. Like, this person did this thing to me and, I'm going to get them back, or, yeah, why did this happen? And get into the noise of that. You feel it's very noisy. Look at the same experience or memory and view it from the position of I as consciousness, not I as person. View it impersonally and taste the difference, you see. Immediately, it becomes a cooler environment, more spacious, more distance, things slow down. You're not in such a claustrophobic state. This already is so simple thing.
You've just asked me what happens, if people start going into that experience, then along comes the chattering monkey mind to sabotage it, right? The trick is, and again, it's not I'm teaching nothing new. The trick is you simply switch on another part of your mind that just goes, oh look, there's monkey mind doing its thing again, right? All right, but I'm still connected. Even with monkey mind doing its thing, I'm still connected, I'm still breathing, and I'm letting it in. Now, the thing is, if you have the discipline to do that daily, maybe several times a day, it will become a groove, and monkey mind will no longer be able to rule and sabotage your experience. But monkey mind will continue to sabotage your experience until you have, I'm going to use these horrible words, and they need to be brought in, until you have the desire and the motivation that takes you into the discipline of having a proper practice and not just serendipitously waiting for things to happen.
Learning to manage our time and say, actually, if I go inside myself and I reach that point of stillness, I'll be a nice person for the rest of the day, is a huge investment. If we get up and run around like maniacs and don't have the time to set our own personal standard, we'll probably be snapping and belly aching and moaning at everyone as we go along. I had a big family. I still have, but they're all grown up. And I found that if I didn't take half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes even at the start of the day, I'd be a bitch, basically, because I was so pressured and so pushed and had so much to do. And then they'd think they'd done something wrong. And so they'd go off to school in a bad mood or wherever it was they were going, and everyone would have a horrible day. If you take responsibility for who you are, and even if you are having a bad day, say to them, something's going on inside me, I don't know what it is, I'm trying to work it out, but it's nothing you've done. If you have that level of truth, then people will help you and support you. Whereas if you pretend it's not happening and you just are very, I don't know, emotional or bad-tempered or irritable, then you devalue other people, and that's not fair.
Space from your current routine. Break your current routine. So if you're doing the same old stuff every day, even reading the book on the tube, just decide to do something different. Research, I think, has shown that the way to change something is to change your routine over 30 days. So if you want to change your work, go to work a different way each day. If you want to change your relationship, do something different, unexpected in it. Do something that shakes up your whole pattern, around it. And then ask yourself the question, what's important to me in my life? What do I love? What do I want to do? Just asking yourself those questions every day will develop a tension in you that will create some movement and momentum in you. Or something will crack, which will be good as well.
Use your breath. Notice the movement of your breath to help bring the experience fully into your body. So it's not just here or in your heart, or you're not just kind of buzzing with it. You actually breathe it down so it's fully in you, in what in the East would be called your hara, or your lower dantian, so that you come in. There's not a single spiritual tradition that doesn't tell people to center, earth, ground. All of them without exception. So you must center, you must earth, you must ground. And this means allowing these sensations of the connection, allowing those subtle sensations to come fully into your body and allow them to embed themselves within you. So imagine you're at the ecstasy rave, you're at the football match, or you're meditating, or you're doing prayer work, or you dance, or you're doing arts, or you're walking in landscape, or you're sailing your boat, or playing golf, or cooking, or whatever it is you're doing. And you go into the zone, you go, oh wait a minute, I'm just beginning to feel as though I'm cooking in the zone for a moment. And then at that moment you go, oh, look what's happening. Soft eyes, this is cool, maybe an expression of gratitude, thank you very much. Come into your heart, gentle breath, land it in your body, make it a full body experience. Here I am, complete human being, having that experience. Wouldn't it be great if I could hold it? Oh no, wifey's coming home. The children are coming back, the football match is over. Oh, I've lost it! But watchfulness, open heart, breath, grounding are core skills that we have to learn and develop.
I'm going to demonstrate. It's allowing yourself to go to a place inside you that's also connected to everything else. And when you get to that space and you feel the connections going out, it's like a nuclear explosion of light and love. And you go to that space and it's just always emanating. It's just always emanating.
To be that complicated, actually. It seems quite simple, kind of like A, B, C. Awareness of your breath helps you become conscious of your ability to wake up, and we can all find this feeling by continuously practicing being inside our center and recognizing when we've come out of our center, kind of like a pendulum swinging from right to left and just coming back into the middle.
If what you're doing is working, then continue. If it's not, change. So if you're saying things to people and they're getting really upset and beating you up, then stop saying it. Find another way of saying it. It's a work in progress. There isn't a one-size-fits-all. Each person is free to choose their route. And there are paths, some of them very well trodden, but you don't have to take them. You can make your own path. I mean, it's hard work, so. You know, that's what some people like. I mean, this is one of the issues that we have in the West is we carry this concept of no pain, no gain. So how much does it have to hurt? And the truth is sometimes quite a lot, because when things are working, we don't bother to make any effort. It's only when they stop working and we get a bit of pain that we go, maybe I should do something. And it looks like we're going to get quite a bit of pain. So it's important to know that there is an alternative, or that there are alternatives. And essentially they're alternative ways of thinking. Yeah.
When we look at what causes people to stay stuck, for many, many years, for example, I used to say, I want to leave this job, but every year I'd say I'm going to leave this job, and every year I wouldn't do it. Well, what was really holding me back? Beliefs about what was possible. So if you imagine when you have a goal for yourself, the first question to say, in a way, is, do I believe the goal is possible? If you don't believe it's possible, you're very unlikely to do it. I could say to you now, I have a goal to be an astronaut. Yeah. Do I really believe I'm going to be an astronaut? No. Am I going to be an astronaut? No. If you think of our beliefs as being the kind of underpinning of the whole architecture of how we go about our business, if we don't believe things are possible, well then we're not going to do anything about it. If we don't believe we deserve the thing we want, it's not going to happen for us, right? If we don't believe we're entitled to it, it's not going to happen. If we think that we're helpless, other people can do things, but we can't do things, or there's no kind of hope for us. If we have beliefs that are rooted in those kinds of things, it won't happen. So, success is for other people, or, you get to do that, but I don't get to do that. That's just a belief, right?
The best bar in town is in your head. All the chemicals that are out there are also in there, and by changing the way you think, you change the way you feel, which allows you to change your behavior, which means you get better results. So if you're operating from clarity and you're operating from now, you're going to respond to what's actually happening rather than to what was happening or what might happen in the future. So you make good decisions, or rather better decisions, or clean decisions based on what's actually going on.
So I guess the thing about beliefs is, we rarely have one limiting belief. Beliefs rarely kind of travel alone. So I tend to think about beliefs being a bit like a kind of bunch of grapes, or like a tangled ball of yarn. It's not that we have this one limiting thought about ourselves, or about what's possible, or about life, or about the world. What really happens is that we have that, and it's kind of stuck onto this other thought, and this other thought, and then that's stuck onto an experience, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff that's all tangled up. And this is why so many of us find belief change difficult. This is why things like affirmations don't always work for us, because they're not addressing the whole belief system that we're believing is true, that's causing us to act in particular ways in the world. And so when I think about beliefs, I think, well, gosh, it'd be fun to change a grape. Imagine you're a bunch of grapes. It'd be great to take one limiting belief and change it, and that would be a result. But wouldn't it be even better to work your way up that whole bunch of grapes, find the stem at the top that's holding the whole lot together, change that for something else, and then a whole raft of stuff falls away. And that's where we see profound belief change for people. And we see what that makes possible. And that very often those beliefs they're really core beliefs about the self, or they're core beliefs about the worldview. Is the world a safe place? Am I safe here? Depending what you believe on that at the deepest level, that'll determine a lot about what's possible for you. Am I okay? Am I acceptable? Am I lovable? Those are kind of big questions to answer. And so this for me is when belief change can be so exciting for people, because what was previously impossible becomes possible, or what we were previously helpless about, we suddenly become capable of dealing with, or where we perhaps didn't feel we deserved, suddenly we deserve just as much as anybody else. And that for me, it's a great way of putting hope into the world, isn't it? And of making change possible. And so the work I do, especially the seminars I teach, is really all about that, about making hope possible for people. And then from that, making inspiration and action possible in the world for love.
The way that the neural networks in our brain work is a little bit like pathways in a forest. The ones that we use the most become clear of obstructions and easy to navigate. And these are called habits. When we want to learn anything new or change a habit, we have to go off the path and maybe cut a new path straight through the undergrowth in our brain. What many of us do is we go round inside the forest, just round in circles, following the same path for a long time. And then occasionally we break out from the forest and we come out of the forest and we get to a cliff. We look up the cliff and we think, I can't go up there, I can't make it. And so we turn around and we head back down into the forest, and maybe we do another couple of circuits in the forest, and then maybe because the forest catches fire or for some other reason, we find ourselves back at the cliff again. And we clamber up and we get to the foot of the cliff, and this time we decide maybe we've got some help, or maybe there's just enough incentive, and we decide this time that we're really going to go for it, and we climb up the cliff. And when we finally climb up to the top of the cliff, and we get to the top, and we look back, the irony is we can't actually see the cliff. We've spent all this time, all our lives, imagining this great cliff face that was going to be so difficult for us to get past. And yet when we get to the top, the anticlimax is that it's almost completely disappeared. And the only thing left to do now that we're at the top, we can see the real beauty of life. And all we need to do is go and enjoy it.
For anybody watching this who's got huge challenges that seem insurmountable in order to get unstuck and start doing things, the reason why not to get going is probably the principal reason to get going. You know, the reason why not to do something is probably the major incentive to do it. How will it ever change if you don't change how you relate to it?
The only way to move somebody who's stuck is either you help them find their dream and amp it up for them, or if they're stuck in a system full of demands, you have to amp up the pain so they can crack that egg, break free of that system. So then they can start to find some time for, now I've got a bit of time to feel what I want to do in my life. You know, and people who have been in this constant demand, they need usually some time of peace, reflection, they need some stillness to go, I don't know what I want. Stay in that place for 6 months or 3 months. You'll find what you want, you know. And their whole psyche has to reorientate around, what do I want? I've got no idea. And they have to go, all right, but I'll sit with it.
The way I work when I'm coaching is that, first of all, we articulate the life purpose. And then we go on to articulate a vision. And then we identify what I call tensions. And the tensions are the things that hold people back. So the tensions might be fear of failure. It might be a relationship with your parents or your partner. It might be your location. It might be fears around money. So people will articulate a number of tensions. So we've created a vision, you know, this fantastic idea of how life could be. And then once, you know, when people are articulating this vision, there's some negative thoughts going on in their head. So you capture those negative thoughts and you say, you identify them, you put names on them. What are they? What do you call them? And then the coaching process is really one of releasing those tensions. And once the tensions are released, there's nothing to hold you back from achieving your purpose, and your purpose happens. You don't actually have to make your purpose happen. You really have to let it happen. Because as soon as there's nothing preventing it from happening, it will happen. Because our purpose has a kind of gravitational pull for us. You know, it's dragging us. And when we, you know, the further people are away from their purpose, the more tension they feel. So a lot of the tension and stress that people feel inside their bodies is actually this tension between who they are and what they're doing. And the only way to get to be at peace with yourself is to release those tensions and to live your purpose.
Why not have a flexible mind? Why not be prepared to grow? Why not Be in pursuit of who you really are, even if it's only for 15 minutes a day. Why not wait any longer to have a happy life? You know, we don't need to wait for the kind of planets to be in alignment, or our bank balance to be perfect, or our spouse to be different, or, you know, our neighborhood to change. It's us that can change, always. We can always change in any situation. So sometimes when I've been confronted with challenges in my life, I've thought, well, this is what it is, but I can be more. And I have no idea how I'm going to do that, and I don't know where I'm going to get the courage from to do it, and I don't want to do it, and I want it all to go away. And I'm going to have to become more, because I'm the element that can change in my reality. And I'm the quickest way the rest of it will change.
The greater the separation between their true path and the path that they happen to be on, the greater the tension. And obviously people respond differently to tension, but those who are very sensitive to tension and who are also a long way off their path will have the greatest need for anaesthetics. And anaesthetics certainly take the form of chemicals and alcohol or drugs or whatever, but they also take the form of other activities. Sports can be used as an anaesthetic, or other addictions, workaholism, or the media. The media can be used as an anaesthetic, soap operas and other things. So people in pain use anaesthetics to diminish the pain, the sense of pain, because it's more acceptable in our society, on the whole, to anaesthetise yourself with alcohol than it is to question the values that lead to it. And in fact, anaesthetics are more acceptable than hallucinogens. And hallucinogens are illegal, partly, perhaps, because they get people to start asking questions. They get people to see alternative realities, whereas anaesthetics don't. Alcohol doesn't encourage you to see an alternative reality. It just anaesthetises you from the pain. So is there some subliminal level at which the kind of chemical stimulants that might get people asking difficult questions are made illegal, and other ones aren't? Maybe so.
I was one of those people, and I want to talk very, very carefully about this, who took LSD for mystical purposes. And you have to leave the whole of this in, right? I'm one of those people who took LSD for mystical purposes, and there was a lineage of intellectuals and educated, cultured men and women who took psychedelics in order to open up the gates of perception, and who did it very consciously, and who did not feel that society or the law had the right to dictate to an adult what they did with their consciousness. So I come out of that culture, and I don't for one moment want to support a drugs culture, but I do want to say that adults who are working with their own consciousness should be free to experiment. And there were a couple of these trips on LSD where I went into what was called a white light experience, which was pure bliss, flooding my brain, flooding my body. And for me, the important thing about that was that when I came out of the experience the next day and the day after and the day after, I 100% knew that what I needed to develop was being in that experience without using the psychedelia in order to open the gateway. And I did a 2-year retreat and became a dedicated meditator. awakening experience happens in different levels of intensity. And there's a wide spectrum of how strong the experience is. At one end of the spectrum, for various reasons, people get blasted apart.
I was hanging up the phone when an energy started to come up through my hands, up through my feet and my legs, and down through the top of my head. And I initially thought I was having a heart attack. And then I thought I was having a stroke. And, you know, these fears continued to go on and on and on until I began to surrender to the fact that whatever was happening, there was nothing I could do about it.
Their sense of identity fragments for a while, and they're just completely obliterated in this sense of ecstatic connection.
I just let myself go and surrendered, and it was like dominoes falling, one domino after another. I surrendered my body, I surrendered my life, I surrendered my family, I surrendered my business, I surrendered my career. One thing after another, after another, after another. And as it finished, and I got kind of to the last domino falling down, everything dissolved into a state of bliss. The voice in my head disappeared, my identity disappeared, my sense of me as an individual disappeared, and I just emerged into this state of bliss where I remained for about 8 months.
It's very dramatic. It's 100% full on. And it's also fractionally perilous because it may take a while for the personality to adjust and integrate after an experience like that.
What can happen when this no mind or no doubt state comes? What tends to happen quite often is a feeling of some fear or a loss of reference for what you ordinarily think of as your life. And that can create a bit of a shock. So what can tend to happen is that there's a fear that I might just completely disappear. It's not true. It's just the idea of yourself begins to disappear or feels very shaky. But somehow it is interpreted by the beingness, what I call what you are in existence. The beingness is associating with the mind. And somehow there's a bit of confusion as to which portion it really is. When it goes more towards the mind, fear comes. Like, oh, I'm going to disappear, I'm going to die. And this fear somehow seems to suck it back into this I am the body experience. And for a while, that can feel very secure and maybe even grateful. You know, oh my God, oh, it was a near-death experience there. You know?
If you've had one of the huge awakening experiences, which can happen through psychedelic drugs, can happen through forms of yoga and meditation, or can happen to people who've been repressing a load of their own psychology, and suddenly when they meditate for the first time, they just open up and it's overwhelming. For those people, they can often think that that's it. Full stop, they've had the enlightenment experience. But what will happen, and always happens, and they need to tread with care and be held with care. What will always happen is 3 months to several years down the line, they'll have to land into who they are as a person and integrate it. And there will be times then of sorrow and maybe shame because they've lost that complete sense of ecstatic connection.
In my case, after about 8 months, my mind began to return. My identity began to return. And with that came a lot of mental and emotional problems because it terrified my ego. It became very frightened, terrified, because it had just been put out of a job.
This stuff all sounds scary. Losing our identity, egos dissolving, and all that drama. It sounds like we can't wake up and still be the same person.
When you say I, what does I represent? And is I the ultimate statement of existence? Or is there not something that's even watching even I?
my nature is a polarity. On the one hand, I'm this thing, Tim, I'm a body, there he is. But on the other hand, I'm not a thing at all, I'm a kind of a nothing. I'm a presence. It's a mysterious presence, but it's witnessing this. It's what's conscious of this. I call it awareness. It's also called spirit, Buddha nature, nous. All these words refer to it. It's the presence which is witnessing. Now, when I'm talking to somebody, what fascinates me is that I'm connecting from awareness to awareness, but actually I don't see awareness. And here I am, and you're seeing shapes and colours and patches, and then you look at my eye and there's a hole, and then somehow you feel through that you're connecting to what? Something you can't see or touch, and I'm the same. So we're connecting through the shapes and forms, but what we are isn't in the shapes and forms. I love that. It's like, it looks like awareness is in my head, doesn't it? You kind of think it must be in his head. But if I had a zip in my head, and just said, right, could you get awareness out for me? Can you pull it out? There it is. You ain't going to find, not even if you had a big microscope, you wouldn't find awareness. Which is pretty strange, isn't it? Because it's not in there. The thing the thing you know yourself to be, the I, the presence which is witnessing this, the one thing you really know you are, which is conscious, you can't find it. So that presence which is witnessing all of this, it seems to me, is not in the forms. Like a dreamer isn't in a dream, the dream is in the dreamer. And when I really, therefore, let go of all my ideas about what awareness is and just focus on it, it's like I come back into myself and suddenly I'm this big empty space within which this is all arising. So here I'm a tiny little point in space and time, unique place in space and time, as is everybody. And here, if I come back into it, I'm this big emptiness with no space or time. And I'm the relationship between that and this. And it's a perfect polarity. Thing, nothing. Separate, all one.
One of the basic skills of spiritual practice or spiritual growth is we all have to learn to be able to switch on that part of the self which can just witness. Have to learn to switch it on. And as I said earlier, that witnessing needs to be done softly and with compassion. There are some meditation schools and Western spiritual groups which just think being able to disengage is it. But that's actually, I feel, just clever dickery. I think the issue is to switch on the witness and watch with compassion. Now, I don't think that's a difficult thing to do. I think anybody who knows how to watch television and change channels knows how to do that. It's what human beings do. I reckon I can go into a pub or cafe or a bar and I can talk to people about witnessing, and there's going to be a guy at the bar saying, what are you talking about? And I'll say to him, well, you know those moments where you've been making love and you just get totally bored and you're just watching it happen mechanically? And you go, oh yeah, so that's it, witnessing. People do it. They kind of disengage from what they're doing and watch what's cooking, right? And all I'm saying is learn to develop that as a practice, but do it with affection.
Those who are drawn and whose time has come to go into deeper layers of introspection, inquiry, seeking, it will feel right for them. Those whose time is for something else, it will equally feel right for them, you see? So my view is don't disturb anybody. Let each one is going, not artificial. You can pick fruits from a tree and ripen them in a cupboard, but they don't taste as nice as when they ripen on a tree. So my feeling is that each one, life is the great guru actually, I would say. And through life, we are being cooked somehow, prepared for higher and higher levels of consciousness. Let me put it, the cooking would be like that for me. And so gradually at a certain point, the highest cooking is the recognition that this great soup, in fact, is an illusion. You know, this is not a negative finding, and I don't like to speak like this. As I've said before, to say that the world is an illusion is a poor teaching, but it's a great discovery. It's not an illusion like to be dismissed cynically. You come to see that everything that you perceive, you take to be external, actually exists in you as consciousness. You see that all of this life is consciousness playing. You actually see this, you know.
You sink back into your deeper nature, and there's this other pole to who I am. There's Tim, who's this separate individual in this flow of experience I call life. And then there's this deeper identity within, which is the awareness within which the whole thing's arising like a dream. And it's at that level here that I'm one with everything, just like in a dream. Now I'm experiencing it through Tim, or via Tim, the separateness. And that's why the separateness is so precious. But what I get the chance to do is to wake up through the separateness to the oneness. And when there's this oneness, my relationship with Tim is fundamentally different. If I'm just sucked into the dream of separateness, then that's when I can become very selfish, in a negative way, very fearful, because what's in store for Tim is not good. You know, it's suffering and death. And Tim, the paradox of Tim is that he's at once this insignificant, tiny speck of dust in this vast universe, and he's the star of the show. You know, that's what I love about it's true of all of us, isn't it? We're all these tiny little insignificant things, and yet within that particular version of the dream, every single one of us is the star of the show. It's like, other people, there are walk-on parts in my movie. They come, they go. You know, there's romantic interest, comic sidekick, and me, and I'm in every scene. But I walk on part in somebody else's show, and they're in every scene. And I love that. So and that's the paradox of what we're in. We're both hugely important and insignificant. We're both separate, and we're all one. You know, this matters because it's life, and on the other hand, you can sink back to this place where it's all quite ephemeral, actually, and it's just happening, and you can just appreciate it, even with all of the suffering. Get stuck in it, and there's all of that, oh God, you know, come back out here, and even the worst thing you can embrace with love. Here, all that numbness, you know, all the ideas, it's just this, and then here, you go, wow, it's just, every moment is exquisite, every moment is amazing. That you're experiencing anything is utterly, utterly, utterly amazing. And we're in the middle of all of that.
I would say that all of life is the play of consciousness. All beings are expressions of consciousness. Somehow the way in which the consciousness is playing in each form, depending upon the intensity of its identification with the body and with mind and memory, it will demonstrate a different expression. If it is very deeply identified with the body, generally feeling would be more egocentricity, more desires and attachments. It's more of an aggressive realm, I would call it like this. The less identification with the body and mind, the more refined, softer, lighter, more open, more equanimity is manifesting in the presence of such a one, you see.
And it's, again, I'm not saying anything new. Every spiritual tradition in the world was saying you need to develop this ability to witness and disengage. The witness that's watching is a very interesting part of your consciousness. Because can you imagine this witness who's watching everything in your life and is engaged compassionately? It's not a cold parent somewhere. This is that consciousness that's you witnessing and watching with compassion and love. Maybe that's really you. And maybe it would be great if that's how you were all the time. As you did your cooking, looked after your friends, did your work, cleaned the loo, Maybe that would be great.
I think one of the things that one of the things that our society's been hooked on for a very long time is the idea of duality. And when you've been brought up within this box view of duality, it's very difficult to get the concept of oneness. But it comes back to our brain structure. So if you look at the two hemispheres of our brain, the absolutely remarkable thing about it is that they look like they've been sliced down the middle. They are completely separate, except for some connecting fibres called the corpus callosum. There's more connecting fibres in women, which is why women are better at multitasking. But other than that, the two hemispheres of our brain are separate. And the left hemisphere of our brain is the logical, linear, time, mathematical, process-driven, individual part of our brain. And the right-hand side of our brain is connected to everything. It does not see the boundary between my hand and the table, or the boundary between me and you. The right-hand side of our brain sees no distinction between me and the wider consciousness. And the trick is to get both of those at the same time.
Wunderbash Maya, Nithradashmach. Titi Malkutach. Nivietsi Vianaikana, Dubash Maya of Arha. Hooflen lachma, de zoom kan aan jou, mana. Was voor klan, ga op een wacht heen. Hij kan het afgenaan, zo geen ik ga je ben. Umila tashlan, el nesjuna, ela padzan min bisha. Metul de la rima al kota. Waghaila, wat is bukta. Lolom. Amen. Amen.
I would say to anybody, whatever your religion, whatever your background, whatever your race, wherever direction you come from, all of us have that intuitive sense, I am. It's just there. Nobody gave it to you. That I amness feeling is really a sacred principle inside. If you start with just that feeling that is there already, you don't have to go and find it because it's there. When you feel I is the sense I am. If you don't allow this I amness to hold on to any other thoughts or concepts, just isolate the sense I am, which is just the sense of being. Just keep it to itself. Allow it to marinate in itself. Just like this. Anybody can do anywhere. You don't need a temple or a special place. Stay with that feeling. You'll feel other thoughts might come trying to call this feeling to play. But just disregard that. Don't judge. Stay with just that natural sense. Don't create pictures about it and don't give any images to it. Just it's there already by itself. Let that feeling rest with itself. Just that. If you can do this for 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 5 minutes, in the morning, evening, anybody can do this. I would love to hear the results that come from this. This is the most simple advice I can give anybody. Start with the sense I am. Don't say I'm a woman, I'm the daughter of some, the wife of so, I'm the husband. No descriptions unto the I am. Don't associate any job, any description, any title, anything from the past, present, or future. It's there. It's a pure sense inside ourselves. The feeling I exist, I am. Just stay with it. Don't associate nothing. In a short time, I would like to hear the report. And do this. First time you might feel a lot of thoughts are coming. They will not let the I am be by itself. Okay? But don't give up. Don't give up.
And my message would be, actually everyone is amazing, has the potential to do amazing stuff with their lives. And if you haven't figured out how to do it yet, talk to someone. Find someone who has done something amazing with their lives and ask them how they did it. Because they're the people who can teach you. It may not be someone who works as a coach, but someone who can mentor you over a period of time, someone who knows some of the answers. If enough of us are achieving amazing things as individuals, then collectively we're achieving amazing things as a society. And that's pretty exciting.
On a large scale, the more conscious you are from the inside, the better decisions you make, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. And as our biology changes, as we're coming out of that defense from the tigers in our lives, coming out of defense and making better decisions, we're going to be seeing a change globally. It's something we actually call biocultural transformation. As our biology changes, our decisions change. And that's going to change the culture and change the world.
So that the time is now to do it. Don't wait to start your life. Don't wait to stand up for these values in 10 years' time when you're enlightened and you're advanced and you've figured it all out and everything. No, stand up for it now. Start with today. Start with the thing that's the hardest. Start with the thing that's not going to go away. Start with that stuff. Don't worry about all the little things. Do something big. And then watch how you transform your life, the life of people near to you, society, your country, the wider world. And that's how I do believe we can change the world, by how we make the personal political, by how we live.
The quality of your relationships. It's not about the shopping. It's not about how much stuff you've got. It's about how you behave with other people, because that's the essence of it. So walking the path is really about how you relate to the people around you. And again, the way you recognize whether you're doing a good job or not is how they respond back to you. So walking the path is, in a sense, once you recognize that the essential you is your immortal soul, then that's what you invest in. So you do things that, in a sense, polish your soul rather than your car, because that's what's going to last.
Here's one thing you can do anytime, any place, anywhere, if you want to wake up. Be conscious that you don't know what's going on. Real simple. In my experience, the telltale sign that I'm asleep into the dream is I'm sure who Tim is and what needs to be done and what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And the minute I become conscious that this moment is infinitely mysterious, that I exist in a universe of 100 billion stars in our galaxy, because there's 100 billion galaxies, and that if I live to be 80, I will have 4,000 weeks to make sense of all of that. And suddenly I'm in a different universe. I don't know. And that not knowing is the most precious thing, because it opens up the mystery. And when I focus on the mystery, my consciousness changes and I start to become deep awake. And you can do that anytime, any place. Oh God, yeah, I'd forgotten. Oh, for a moment there I thought I knew. I'd forgotten the most important thing. It's this mystery. It's beyond my ideas about it. I am beyond my ideas about myself. And then I start to fall in love with the moment.
Begin pursuing a deep, involved relationship with yourself, with who you really are, what you really want, and fall in love with yourself. Because you're all you've got in lots of ways. Investigate who that person is. Take a chance on yourself. Get started. Stick with it, I think.
Enjoyment. I think it's absolutely vital for people to have, whatever they're doing, however bad things are, there is always something to laugh at. There's always something to either cry with someone about something or laugh at. And if we miss that opportunity, we've missed the invitation to move forward.
So if we're able to, if enough of us can remove the inner conflict that we experience, then the outer conflict falls away. So the path to peace is when enough of us experience inner peace, there will be outer peace.
Let me give you a definition of God. It's an eternal electromagnetic field of stillness, peace, and love that permeates everything there is. Go figure.
So Toby, it sounds like you've been on an epic journey with this film and making this film. How long has it taken you to make, and what have you learned from it?
Hi Dipti. Yeah, thanks. It's been a bit of a journey doing this, and we started thinking about this, me and my friend Brendan, in 2008, and it's 2020 now, so it's quite a long time. But it's been about the journey, I suppose, and I've dipped in and out of this footage for a long time, never really knowing what to do with it, and for a long time it sat on a hard drive in Australia. It now feels the time to kind of put this all together and get it out into the world.
Do you feel like you're coming out?
Coming out the closet, yeah, yeah. As a filmmaker and as as someone that wants to help to create positive change in the world, yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you. It's a good film. I love it.
Oh, good. Thanks. You've had to watch it a few times. So,
have you got any wise words for everyone watching this film, just as a lasting thought?
Wise words from me.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is practice. If you've heard about waking up or this kind of thing. I've known people, I interviewed people that have waited for something to happen for 40 years and nothing's happened, So if you're waiting for that kind of big peak experience, it might never happen. But what we can do is, daily practice, really, and find out what works for you, and if that's journaling in the morning or having a gratitude diary, or it might be a meditation practice, but it could be dancing or knitting, whatever it is that kind of connects you to the thing that is bigger than you and gets you in that kind of flow state. I think we all know when we're more awake and in the wonder of the universe and the world, really. So, and just, work on it. And, yeah. and love life and enjoy it.
Nice. Toby,
Yes.
are you awake?
Am I awake? Sometimes. Sometimes I'm asleep.
Nice. Bye.
Bye.
And so, as we find ourselves beginning to walk a path of spiritual discovery and self-development, and discovering who we really are and what we really wish to become in the world, it's so often the case that at that very moment of answering our calling, we are tested. And every challenge, fear, difficulty, obstacle, limiting belief rises up to meet us all at once. And yet that can be a moment of transformation for us, where we can ask, let this be the test of all tests. Let this be the thing that settles it once and for all, that I am the real deal, and I will live as I believe, that I will continue the work of discovering my true self and what I'm meant to contribute in the world.